As a new resident of Mary Lou Williams's hometown of Pittsburgh, I see Williams everywhere. The cigarette-stained keys on her well-worn Baldwin upright piano are on display among belongings of other local jazz legends at the Heinz History Center. She gazes at me from the murals of Pittsburgh icons that appear on downtown buildings and along the East Busway. Minutes after boarding a bus from St. Benedict the Moor Parish in the historic Hill District, I gasp on seeing Williams's image on the side of an old theater as I was by. I later find out that the building was the New Granada Theater, formerly the Pythian Temple and the Savoy Ballroom, a major jazz venue where Ella Fitzgerald, Duke Ellington, and Louis Armstrong performed. Williams keeps leading me deeper and deeper into the musical legacy of this welcoming city. Less than a year prior to moving here, while renting a room for 7 weeks, I often mention Williams in conversation. Almost invariably, whether I was speaking with a lifelong Pittsburgh resident, a professional jazz musician, or a college music student, I heard variations on the same refrain: wow. Williams was a great pianist, right? And didn't she compose a lot of important jazz tunes? I mean, I don't know any of her pieces. What did she write? Wasn't she a mentor for pianist Thelonious Monk? These responses reminded me that, to this day, most jazz musicians, let alone historians or Pittsburgh residents rightfully proud of their city's rich jazz legacy, know Williams's name and almost none of her music. Her compositions are not played in piano trios, piano, bass, and drums, one of the standard instrumentations in jazz. And while some of her big band music is available and is starting to receive more programming, it's not yet in the regular repertoire of collegiate or professional jazz orchestras. In the great man narrative all too common in jazz history today, Williams is often reduced to a role as an early big band arranger and a mentor to bebop musicians whose names and compositions are front and center in the pantheon of jazz greats, such as Monk, saxophonist Charlie Bird Parker, and trumpeter John Burke's Dizzy Gillespie. Williams's work, her musical output, is understudied and underperformed. Williams's spiritual journey is also commonly reduced to a one-dimensional story emphasizing how her midlife conversion to Catholicism made her somewhat of a religious fanatic. Rather than honoring the months of rigorous religious education and decision-making that a person wishing to enter the Catholic faith undertakes prior to baptism, Williams's choice to embrace Catholicism gets glossed over as a retreat from her arduous life as a performer in which she trusted everybody and was treated so bad. Yet as her friend Dorothy Day knew all too well, Christianity is not simply an interior, personal faith. It requires seeing God in all things, in all people, and demands that we care for the poor in our midst. Williams cared for the poor and, like Day, chose voluntary poverty in order to rehabilitate the sick in her community, especially jazz musicians. She performed these works of mercy even prior to her religious conversion. A 1950 album cover of a recording by pianist Bud Powell shows Williams, partially hidden, and Powell at an upright piano, perhaps at Mary's piano in her Harlem apartment. Mary was a behind-the-scenes, one-woman support system for Powell, not only coaching him musically and recommending him for gigs but calming him when his mental exhaustion turned into explosive episodes, which led to several stays in mental institutions. Williams's charitable work via her 2 Manhattan thrift shops and her founding of the Bel Canto Foundation, a charitable nonprofit organization dedicated to rehabilitating jazz musicians who suffered from drug addiction, is well documented. Less discussed is her ministry of letter writing conducted over decades with fans from all walks of life, including priests and nuns.